For 50 years, no one talked about what happened that night. A private dojo, somewhere in Los Angeles. Dim lights, concrete floor, no spectators. Just a handful of witnesses sworn to silence. A 300-pound kickboxer, undefeated, intimidating, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Across from him, Steven Seagal, calm, still, watching. This wasn't a public match. It wasn't recorded. It wasn't announced. And the outcome was never meant to leave the room. No cameras captured what happened. No journalists were invited. No headlines were written. For decades, the story stayed buried, hidden, a whispered legend among a select few. But legends don't stay buried forever. What happened that night challenged everything people believed about size versus skill, about power versus precision, about ego versus discipline. The 300-pound kickboxer walked in confident. He walked out silent. And Steven Seagal, he never spoke about it publicly. Because real martial artists don't chase headlines. They protect the discipline. But now, 50 years later, the witnesses are talking. And the truth is more powerful than the legend. This is the story of the fight that was never supposed to be told. His name was never publicly revealed, but those who knew him called him a monster. 300 pounds of pure muscle, 6'5", arms like tree trunks. A kickboxer who'd won every local fight he'd entered. Brutal, powerful, unstoppable. He believed in one thing: size and strength win fights. Technique, discipline, traditional martial arts. In his words, that stuff doesn't work in real combat. He'd heard about Steven Seagal, the martial artist, the action star, the Aikido master, and he didn't believe it. Movies don't win real fights, he said to anyone who'd listen. The challenge started as a conversation. Someone mentioned Seagal's reputation, his decades of training, his real martial arts background. The kickboxer laughed. "I'd break him in half." Word got back to Steven. Most people expected him to ignore it. After all, Steven had nothing to prove. He'd trained for decades, studied under masters in Japan, built his reputation on discipline, not spectacle. But Steven didn't ignore it. He accepted. Quietly. No press conference, no public announcement, no media circus. Just a private meeting, a closed dojo, a handful of witnesses. The kickboxer was thrilled. He saw it as validation, a chance to prove traditional martial arts were obsolete. "I'll show everyone," he told his friends. "Size beats technique. Power beats discipline." He trained harder than ever, shadowboxing, heavy bag work, conditioning. He was ready to destroy Steven Seagal. But here's what he didn't understand. Steven wasn't fighting to prove himself. He was teaching a lesson. And lessons in Aikido aren't taught with force. They're taught with precision. The date was set. The location kept secret. No cameras allowed. No audience beyond a select few. Just two men, two philosophies, one outcome. And only one of them understood what was about to happen. This wasn't just about two men fighting. It was about everything martial arts represented. For Steven, the stakes were enormous. His reputation, his students, the entire philosophy of Aikido. If he lost, it would validate everything the kickboxer claimed, that traditional martial arts were outdated, ineffective, just performance, that size and power were all that mattered in a real fight. Steven's students would be watching. Some of them had trained for years, dedicated their lives to the discipline. What would they think if their teacher was beaten by raw strength? But it was bigger than that. It was about respect. Respect for the masters who taught him, for the discipline passed down through generations, for the philosophy that violence should be a last resort, controlled and precise. The kickboxer had none of that. He had confidence, arrogance, and 300 pounds of muscle. He believed that was enough. Steven knew different. But knowing and proving are two different things. The size difference was real. 300 pounds versus maybe 200, 6'5" versus 6'4", youth and raw power versus age and technique. On paper, it looked like a mismatch, and that's exactly what the kickboxer was counting on. He'd tell people later, "I went in there to embarrass him, to show everyone that movie martial arts are fake." But Steven had something the kickboxer didn't understand. 40 years of training, not for show, not for movies, for real application. Aikido isn't about overpowering your opponent. It's about using their force against them, redirecting momentum, controlling joints and balance. It's about making 300 pounds feel like a disadvantage, not an advantage. The question wasn't whether Steven was strong enough. The question was whether the kickboxer was skilled enough. And here's the thing most people miss. In a real fight, size matters, but control matters more. Be honest, size or skill? What wins? Drop your answer below. The night of the fight arrived, both men ready. Only one understood what was about to happen. The dojo was small, bare, functional. Concrete floor, dim overhead lights, no decorations. No ring, no ropes, no padding, just open space. The kind of place where real training happened, not performances. 7 witnesses showed up, maybe 8. Students of Steven's, a few martial artists from other disciplines, people who understood what they were about to see. No crowd, no cheering section, no cameras, just quiet anticipation. The air was heavy, tense. Everyone knew this was serious. The kickboxer arrived first. Tank top, shorts, taped hands. He looked massive, intimidating, every muscle visible under the harsh lights. He paced, shadow-boxed, rolled his shoulders, warming up, getting loose, psyching himself up. "This is going to be quick," he told one of the witnesses, confidence radiating from him. Steven arrived 15 minutes later. No fanfare, no entrance music, no theatrics. Black gi, traditional, simple. He bowed when he entered, a small gesture, respectful. The kickboxer didn't bow back. Steven didn't seem to care. He stood in the center of the dojo, calm, still, hands at his sides, breathing steady. Not warming up, not shadowboxing, not pacing, just present. The contrast was striking. The kickboxer, loud movement, visible energy, aggressive presence. Steven, silent, centered, completely composed. One of the witnesses later said, "The bigger the ego, the louder it moves." Steven barely moved at all. No stretching, no preparation rituals, no last-minute adjustments. He just stood there, watching the kickboxer pace, reading him. The kickboxer noticed. It unsettled him slightly. "You ready, old man?" he said, trying to provoke a reaction. Steven didn't respond, didn't smile, didn't frown, just looked at him. And in that look, something shifted. The kickboxer felt it, a flicker of doubt, but pride pushed it down. He cracked his knuckles, rolled his neck. "Let's do this." The witnesses stepped back, giving them space. No referee, no rules discussed, no timer set. Just 2 men, 2 philosophies. The room went silent. And it began. The kickboxer moved first. No hesitation, no circling, just straight aggression. He closed the distance fast, threw a heavy right hand, all 300 pounds behind it. The kind of punch that could drop most people. Steven moved. Not back, not away. Just slightly. A subtle shift of his body, maybe 6 inches. The punch sailed past his face, missing by a breath. The kickboxer's momentum carried him forward, off balance. Before he could reset, Steven's hand was on his wrist. Not grabbing, guiding, redirecting the force that was already there. The kickboxer stumbled, caught himself, stood up straight. Confusion flashed across his face. What just happened? He threw another punch, left hook this time, heavy, powerful. Steven moved again, minimal, precise.
This time, he didn't just redirect, he stepped in, close. His hand found the kickboxer's elbow, applied pressure, subtle control. The kickboxer's arm bent, not from force, from leverage, his own momentum working against him. He tried to pull away. Steven let him. The kickboxer stumbled back, reset, breathing harder now. The witnesses watched in silence. No one expected this. The kickboxer had thrown 2 of his best punches, neither landed, and Steven had barely moved. No blocks, no parries, no resistance, just movement, control, redirection. The kickboxer shook his head, tried to clear it. Lucky, he muttered. He charged again, this time with more aggression. A combination, right, left, right, heavy, fast, brutal. Steven moved through them like water. Slight turns, weight shifts, minimal steps. Every punch missed, not by much, but enough. And each time Steven's hands found something, a wrist, an elbow, a shoulder. Not striking, guiding, controlling. The kickboxer felt it, his balance disrupted, his rhythm broken. He backed off, breathing heavy now. They'd been fighting for less than a minute, but already everything the kickboxer believed was being challenged. He expected resistance. He got precision. He expected a fight. He got a lesson. And the worst part? Steven hadn't thrown a single strike. The room stayed silent. No cheering, no commentary, just the sound of the kickboxer's heavy breathing and Steven's calm, steady presence, waiting.
The kickboxer was frustrated now. Nothing was working. Nothing made sense. He'd trained his whole life to overpower opponents, to use size, to use strength, but there was nothing to overpower. Steven wasn't fighting him, wasn't resisting, just moving, controlling, waiting. The kickboxer took a breath, steadied himself. One more time. He charged, full commitment, all his weight, all his power. A rushing tackle, like a linebacker, 300 pounds of momentum aimed straight at Steven. This time, Steven didn't move aside. He moved forward, into the charge. His timing was perfect. As the kickboxer reached him, Steven's hands found his wrist and collar. Not pulling, not pushing, just guiding the momentum that was already there. Steven pivoted. His hip became the fulcrum. The kickboxer's own force lifted him, rotated him. For a moment, all 300 pounds were airborne. Then he hit the ground, hard. The concrete floor echoed with the impact. The kickboxer lay there, stunned, wind knocked out, not injured, but shocked. He'd just been thrown by his own momentum. Steven stepped back, hands at his sides, calm, composed, not even breathing hard. The kickboxer got to his knees, then to his feet, slower this time. He looked at Steven, really looked at him. The arrogance was gone, the confidence shattered. In its place, realization. He tried once more, half-hearted, testing. A jab, another. Steven moved, redirected, controlled. The kickboxer's balance broke again. He didn't fall this time, but he felt it. Complete control. He stopped, stepped back, put his hands down. "I'm done," he said quietly. Steven nodded, bowed slightly. The kickboxer hesitated, then bowed back. The room was silent. No celebration, no gloating, no humiliation, just respect. The fight was over. Less than 3 minutes from start to finish. The kickboxer had learned what he came to disprove. Size matters, but control matters more. And technique, when mastered over decades, can make 300 pounds irrelevant. One of the witnesses helped the kickboxer to his feet. "You okay?" The kickboxer nodded, rubbing his shoulder. "Yeah, just humbled." Steven walked to the edge of the dojo, picked up a towel. Didn't say a word. The lesson was taught. Nothing more needed to be said.
After the fight, something unexpected happened. The kickboxer didn't leave angry, didn't storm out, didn't make excuses. He stayed. For an hour, he sat with Steven and talked about martial arts, about discipline, about what he'd just experienced. "I've never felt anything like that," he admitted. "I couldn't do anything." Steven listened, patient, understanding. "You're strong," Steven said, "but strength without control is just chaos." The kickboxer nodded, absorbing it. Before he left, Steven made one request. "Don't talk about this, not publicly." The kickboxer looked confused. "Why not? You won. You proved everything." Steven shook his head. "I didn't do this to prove anything. This was between us. A lesson, not a spectacle. But people should know." "No," Steven said firmly. "Real martial arts isn't about humiliating opponents. It's about teaching. You came here to challenge me. You left understanding something deeper. That's enough." The kickboxer thought about it. "What about the witnesses?" "They understand," Steven said. "This stays here." And it did. For 50 years, no one spoke about it publicly. The witnesses honored Steven's request. The kickboxer kept his word. No press releases, no interviews, no boasting. Because that's what real martial artists do. They don't chase headlines. They don't seek validation through public victories. They protect the discipline. When you humiliate someone publicly, you create an enemy. When you teach them privately, you create respect. Steven understood this. The fight wasn't about defeating a 300-pound kickboxer. It was about showing him, and anyone watching, what true martial arts looked like. Not flashy, not theatrical, just effective, controlled, disciplined. The story stayed buried, a legend among those who knew. Until now. Why are the witnesses talking now? Because 50 years have passed. The kickboxer himself has since passed away. And the lesson, the real lesson, shouldn't die with the people who saw it. The world needs to understand. Real power doesn't need an audience. Real skill doesn't need publicity. And real martial arts isn't about ego. It's about discipline. That's why it was kept secret. Not to hide a victory, but to protect what victory truly means.
Power fades, size changes, strength diminishes with time, but technique remains. The 300-pound kickboxer learned that night what many never understand. Real martial arts isn't about defeating opponents, it's about controlling outcomes. Steven Seagal didn't win that fight because he was stronger. He won because he understood principles the kickboxer hadn't learned yet. Leverage, balance, timing, control. 40 years of training distilled into 3 minutes. The fight stayed secret for half a century, not because Steven was ashamed of winning, but because the victory wasn't the point, the lesson was. And lessons taught privately carry more weight than victories celebrated publicly. Today, that lesson echoes. In every dojo where discipline is valued over ego, in every martial artist who chooses control over chaos, in every person who understands that true power doesn't need to prove itself. Some victories aren't meant for the world, they're meant for the lesson, for the witnesses who understand, for the opponent who learns, for the tradition that continues. The secret dojo fight wasn't about Steven Seagal. It was about what martial arts truly represents: discipline, respect, control. And 50 years later, that message is still more powerful than any headline ever could be. Some victories aren't meant for the world, they're meant for the lesson.